Hey guys, UFC 326 goes down this Saturday in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Pete Amato and Pat Cwiklinski here, back again with another set of main event picks and predictions for what's going to happen for the big fight. BMF title on the line. Max Holloway, of course, the champ, the BMF champ, if you will, defending his symbolic title against Charles Oliveira. A very intriguing matchup over 10 years in the making since their last fight, which is wild. That time has flown by that fast. I remember watching that fight. I don't know if that ages me a little bit, but certainly an exciting fight then and an exciting fight now, especially with where these two have gone in their careers. Make sure you guys check this fight out on Paramount Plus. Link is in the description. It's going to be a great one. Lots to kind of consider in this fight, and with where these two fighters are in their careers, you have two guys who both are former UFC champions at this point in their careers. Obviously, when their first fight happened, they were still young pups and figuring it out. But at this juncture in their careers, they're grizzled vets. Lots of fights under their belts, lots of big fights under their belts too. And you have Charles Oliveira, the former UFC lightweight champion. Then you have Max Holloway, the former UFC featherweight champion. And this is like I said, an interesting fight coming at a very interesting time in both these guys' careers. I would be remiss not to, bring up the losses to Ilia Topuria that each of these guys have on their records. More recently, nothing to, obviously be upset about with how great he has looked as the double champ. But, this fight kind of, like I said, comes at a very intriguing time for both guys' careers. And I'm just curious on your overall thoughts on this matchup, Pete. What do you think kind of coming into this thing?
I think it's definitely an interesting matchup. I think, we can't really even consider like when they fought 10 years ago, because I believe it ended in a injury, right? Like
Yeah,
Oliveira got injured and they really couldn't, and they had to call the fight. I think that's really what happened. So, and they were totally different fighters, like you said. They both moved on to be champions since then. Um, some of the best in their division. So I think it's pretty interesting to see how this all comes around and comes back. And now they had their championships. They've both had a great career, and now they're facing off again. And it is a really interesting fight because a lot of these guys, they've been in the UFC, they've been in these top contenders for a long time, and it's kind of funny that it's taken this long for them to kind of face off again. And it was interesting for me because at first I'm like, oh yeah, Max Holloway, he has this fight. I mean, I think he's the favorite on paper and everything. But then I started thinking about like, yeah, he has faith, but Max Holloway's never been knocked out before except his last fight. So how's he going to bounce? How's he going to bounce back with that? Because that when a guy has literally never been knocked out and then you take that beating from Topuria, it's like, is he going to come in a different fighter? Is he going to come in the same tough cardio for days? Max Holloway, that's pointing to the ground and ready to go. So that's where I'm kind of like, it's going to be interesting. Is he going to be a little shy away from doing the point thing? Because like I said, he's never had to deal with being knocked out before.
absolutely. I think it'll be a really interesting, matchup for watching out for that. How these guys' chins react. Now, of course, we know Oliveira, obviously an elite, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. But he has some hands. When we've
Yeah,
seen it lately, he's much improved with his strikes. In recent years, we've seen him do it. On a more consistent basis than he had previously in his career. Now, that being said, I do think that Max Holloway's striking is certainly a cut
yeah,
above Oliveira's, and that I think is going to be the X factor here. Max Holloway has typically been pretty hard to get on the ground as well. He has pretty good takedown defense.
yes,
And Oliveira is a crafty, vet. He could get him in some bad positions, but I don't know. I just don't see it kind of happening that way necessarily. Although I will say, as far as kind of looking at some of the odds, I thought plus 800 odds on Oliveira to win by decision was a little disrespectful, if I'm being honest. I mean, they are not giving this guy
No.
enough credit for just how good he is and how, how much skill that he has. I think that, Holloway definitely has the X factor in the striking department. Wild things do happen, and like to your point, you said about kind of his chin holding up. We'll see. I mean, both of these guys have been cracked. Both these guys have been cracked by Taporia.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see whose chin holds up, because I do think that this fight will end up kind of staying on the feet a little bit. I do think that that's where it's gonna end up, and if that does happen, I do think it favors Holloway, but you can't count on Oliveira for his improved striking as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the thing about Holloway is, yeah, he does have way better striking, and he's only been ever submitted once in his entire career. He has a takedown defense is like 83%. So is Oliveira really going to get Holloway down? Even if he does get him down, I mean, like I said, he's been submitted once. I mean, in his entire career, which is pretty insane to think about when you think as him as a striker. So people kind of underestimate his ground game, and his ability to keep the stand up game. That's why a lot of his fights end on the when they're standing up in a KO or TKO. So if he can keep the fight standing, he's going to outstrike Oliveira, I believe. He's never going to get tired. He has crazy cardio. His footwork and timing allow him to evade power shots. So I think Max Holloway definitely has the edge here. Like I said, and like you said as well, it's going to depend on whether they come back and see what their chins are after they both got cracked by Taporia. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, like a lot of times fighters, once they lose their chin, they lose it. So, and we haven't seen Max Holloway come off from a knockout before. So that's going to be pretty interesting to me. I did also think the odds were a little disrespectful to Oliveira, especially the win by decision odds. It's gonna be a tough bet because Max Holloway is such a big favorite right now in the money line odds. I could see this fight going the distance. I could see these guys basically laying out all on the line and just kind of going back and forth. I do like Holloway winning by decision just because of the odds. I think it's like plus 230 now, which I think are pretty good odds. If you think he has a chance, if you think Oliveira has a chance to go the distance with him, like I said, I think if it does go to distance, I think Max Holloway is going to take the win, and I think if it gets stopped, I mean Oliveira has a chance to kind of hurt him, and then once he gets to the ground, he has that jiu-jitsu black belt, and anything can happen from there. But I do like the plus 30 win by decision for Max Holloway. I think the minus 210. I think it's like minus 210 now is the money line, but I think I've seen it minus 250 at some sports books. So I just don't. I think that's just a big money to put up for Max Holloway. Like I said, I think Charles Oliveira is getting a little disrespected. I agree with there. If you feel that way, Oliveira is around like plus 160, plus 180 right now to win money line. So I don't hate that bet either.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. This is really a lot closer of a fight than I think a lot of people are, giving credit to. I mean, it's I think some people are looking at the history. Maybe the last time these guys fought, again, as you said, finished. The fight ended via injury. It was over 10 years ago. This is a completely, these are two completely different fighters almost, right? At
Mm-hmm.
this juncture in their careers, and Oliveira, has only lost to the elite of the elite guys too.
Yeah.
So it's similar to Max Holloway in that these guys are fighting the very best guys. They're not getting starched by guys who are fringe top 15 contenders, right? So that makes this fight interesting. Now, with that being said, there's a bet boost on Bet365 that I really like. Boosted odds at plus 400 from plus 300. It's Max Holloway to win the fight, land 75 plus strikes, and the fight not to go the distance. I kind of like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the volume is going to be the key for Max Holloway in this fight. He's going to need to be active with Oliveira so that Oliveira doesn't have too much time to think and be able to set up any potential takedowns, get the fight to the ground. I think he's going to, pepper him with that nice boxing that he has, and really kind of just stay active. And I do think that within the span of the 5 rounds, I think there is a point where he will hurt Oliveira and he could finish him. So that's the pick that I'm going with that I like.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. Like I said, I try to talk myself into thinking it's going to go the distance, but then there's like a little devil on my shoulder saying like it's Holloway. And Holloway's not going to let the fight go to distance. So I am going to stick with. I really do like the odds of Holloway winning by decision. I think it's going to be a big challenge for Holloway to come in and be his normal aggressive self, especially after getting knocked out on his last fight, his first knock. Like I said, his first knockout. So I think he will come in. Maybe not super gun shy, maybe a little gun shy. So I do like the win by decision. I also like over 2.5 rounds. I think it's probably like minus 160 right now. I think I say minus 175 a couple places. So I do like it going over 2.5 rounds as well.
Absolutely. I'm not mad at those picks either. Either way, I think we're in for an exciting fight. Between these two guys. Make sure that you guys tune in. Like I said, subscribe to Paramount Plus so you can catch all the UFC 326 action and beyond. You get access to all of the great events with Paramount Plus under one subscription. You don't have to worry too much about, buying individual pay-per-views anymore. It's a different world now. So
Yeah.
make sure you get that Paramount Plus subscription. I'm Pat Cwiklinski. He's Pete Amato. Enjoy the fights.